Speaking of the whole Kamala Harris Biden, I saw this article and I thought it was interesting because I think this is a small scale sort of situation. A freelance photographer who was working for the NBA for several years was kicked out of the league's bubble after he was called out for resharing an offensive meme about Joe Biden's running mate, Kamala Harris, on his Facebook page. So to sum this up, he's a photographer for the NBA. He's been a photographer for several years. He's an independent contractor. That's how he's being viewed. 1099. We've talked about this on another episode with Uber. He's an independent contractor. The incident took place a few days ago. His name is Bill Baptist. And the meme basically said it was Joe Biden's campaign logo. So it said Joe and the hoe. So it was his campaign thing, but it was like the way it was graphically done, it was made to look like his campaign slogan, like the graphic style. So he reposts this on his Facebook. Cheryl Swoops spotted it. She's a WNBA star. She spots it on Facebook, and of course she comments. So this guy works for the NBA but covers the Houston Rockets. He's been around for a while. Even worked with the Houston Comets, which is the WNBA team. It's amazing how people will smile in your face, but eventually their true colors will show. At NBA and Houston Rockets, he needs to go! Exclamation, exclamation, exclamation. So disrespectful. Bill Baptist, shame on you. So there's a few things I want to talk about here because there's a lot going on. So, okay. He basically calls Kamala Harris a hoe. All right. I'm not saying that is right. I'm not going to say that's right. You can argue freedom of speech, say what you want. That's fine. But would I post it? No. So that being said, there's a few things here. You have a photographer who gets fired from his job for essentially a Facebook post. So that's the first thing I want to talk about, because regardless of what it is, now obviously this was a political statement. You know, he's obviously a pro-Trump or Republican because you wouldn't bash Kamala Harris if you're fucking a Democrat. So it's very clear.
Really? See, I would just go for the jokes. Yeah.
Maybe. Maybe.
That's curious. Okay.
No,
that's just a valid. Okay, because I went for the joke. I was like, "Ho" is like her name, Ho Beckenstein. Like, is there a ho in there? So like a play on words, or is this flat out? This joke is Joe and the hoe. Like,
yeah. So I mean, I
anticipate.
the way I interpret it was that he's Republican and he's just calling her a hoe. Like, and that stems from some controversy about her and the mayor of a California town and how she basically slept her way to the top.
Whoa, that's hot. So I like her a little bit. Like.
So that's where it's kind of stemming from. Is there's the rumor, the conspiracy theory, whatever it is, it's out there, right? And that meme was geared towards that statement or that sort of theory. But the bigger issue is that he retweets it. So whether he meant it to be funny or thought it was funny without really thinking, and he's just an idiot with no common sense, or he's a fucking Republican who's like, I love Trump, fuck her, I don't know. But he gets fired for a Facebook post. Now, my question to you is, what are your thoughts on that? Because we're in an age now, and again, I think the theme of this episode is times are changing. Monopolies are changing. The way we view healthcare, I think, needs to change. It's evolving. Social media is definitely evolving our society, right? So is it okay for someone to be fired for posting something on a personal Facebook page? What are your thoughts on that?
It doesn't seem.
So if you if you posted a thing said, I can't stand fucking Biden, I hope he loses. What a loser. And you posted that on your Facebook.
No.
And then so then the next, in like a week or two later, you get called into your job and you're like, we've been something was come to our attention that you were posting some not so nice stuff, and we're gonna probably have to let you go because it's just not in our it's a bad representation for our company. Now, I don't know where. I mean, this is like the separation of church and state almost, right? like what constitutes work and professional, or is it all just blended together now? Back in the day, you go to work, you go home, the guy beat his wife, but he'd still have his job, right? I mean, I'm not saying that that's a bad fucking example, but my point is that no one, you know what I mean? They were just different. They were separated, right?
The only way that makes sense.
I'm just fucking saying.
He just took pictures of it, of his wife being beaten so that he could share them. And
look, I'm just saying. The reality is that shit went down after work back in the day when nobody had fucking cell phones or social media and, tweets. Nobody knew what the fuck a tweet was. So now that when everybody's got this urge to be heard, or there's he posts this, like, do you think it's right for an employer to go on your Facebook and say, "Oh, that's not in line with the beliefs of XYZ company. You're fired"?
Well, see, here's the thing. There's too many. It's too complicated because
I know. But the thing is you're right. There's nuances.
The first one is, does the company have anything about that when you get hired on, or were you grandfathered in to something that it didn't ever existed when you were hired? And you've been there for so long. So has there ever been a conversation? If there hasn't, then you can't be fired for it because there was never something that said for it. So your grounds for dismissal is, by the legal standpoints, is like, I can have my opinion no matter what it is because you never said anything. There's a real problem. There's definitely no gray area. It's like they never had a conversation, never signed a piece of paper, and they made no claims. You can do whatever you want on social media. It doesn't affect us. My company, when I got hired, and it's been recently, is like, don't do stuff on social media that pertains to me. I was like, okay, I don't really participate in social media, so for me, it's like a no-brainer.
Yeah.
But if there was no conversation had, now you've got a situation that's like he's doing something and he's saying whatever he wants, and the company, well, one, why is he having?
Okay. So you're absolutely right. If you sign something beforehand, you're done. Like, you should absolutely, if you signed it, you broke it, see you later. Now, this guy was an independent contractor, so that's a gray area. Again, you're not a real employee, but you're kind of like a contractor. So
yeah, the only people that would know that they were connected was somebody on the inside.
Exactly.
Somebody on the outside, just like, I don't care. He's a nobody.
Which is, well, that'll bring me. We'll hold that thought, because that takes you to number 2, to the second point I want to bring up. But I just want to finish on this.
Yeah.
So look at it this way, right? So TikTok, right? Again, TikTok's just basically chicks in bikinis dancing. That's really all it is. It's legitimately, you could scroll through TikTok and 90% of your feed is just going to be half naked girls trying to dance. Right. And you're not watching because they're fucking dancers by any means. They're just
learn something about the economy right now.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the big joke was that the face mask that people were wearing was bigger than the bikinis these girls were wearing. Legitimately, some of them were. I was like, oh wow, that's a lovely labia you got there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's just like, Jesus Christ. But so if a girl on TikTok is in a tiny little bikini doing her cute little dance and trying to get views, but works at a law firm or, I don't know, corporate office of Amazon, should she get fired if they let her go because she's not representing the firm?
Comes down to that agreement ahead of time.
She did. There was nothing signed.
Then they can't. She has a legal right to say, "Well,
I know. I mean,
where is this?" I mean,
you would think.
Fight that or whatever,
you would think, but I mean, when you look into it, there are so many people being fired. Now, granted, the ones that are being fired typically they're more either extreme political or racist sort of tweets or posts or whatever the platform of choice is, Instagram, Twitter, but it's just interesting that. Now, whatever you do in your personal life is basically like your company's like, oh, that's not with our core values. You're fired. So
Well, this goes back to James Gunn posting stuff about child molesting jokes back in like '07, I think, on Twitter. Like when he's making his jokes, when there's no followers and nobody really cares about and everybody's screaming stuff. So everybody's just, I got to say something, and everybody's just filling the Twitter bucket up of this history, and it's the history that gets you because it doesn't go away. So then somebody went back through and read all his posts and found all these comments, and he got fired from Disney. Warner Brothers picked him up. Everybody complained. He apologized for the jokes, and then he basically made his way and went, and they got hired back. But there is a responsibility on the human beings.
I agree.
That are fucking typing the shit into the computer. If it doesn't go away, you're responsible. So ultimately, if it comes down to between you and your job and your post and stuff, and you're doing something, you don't care about your job or don't feel about it, it's your own fault. You got to take full responsibility because you're volunteering.
I think so.
To do it.
I have to agree with you because I think, again, shit's changed and evolved. And I think it's one of those things where you're free to post whatever you want, but you have to be ready to accept whatever comes your way.
Whatever. And if you're just going, I just want to like, I'm like,
and you just have to be you have to be willing to accept it, and you just have to know that there's a chance. If it's something controversial, of course, right? I mean, if you're posting,
once the spotlight is on you, that's easy. Because you can go and look up and scroll through, and 3 people could go through and read everything and get that done in like 20 minutes because it's stuff that you shared. You took the time to thought it out. You took the time. You wanted to make the point. You wanted attention. This attention-seeking dopamine rush that these guys program to dump your fucking soul into the computer every time anything happens. So event happens, and here's your reaction. The event happens, and here's your reaction. The AI that's there listening is paying attention and can read that faster than you can. It's doing on a scale of mass. So you're feeding into this machine that is learning about the human organism by, I'll just share everything. Here's my dick. Here's my cunt. Here's my tits. I like it this way. It's a fetish in some way. It's a freeing experience. You can hold the camera up to an explosion in downtown Beirut 10 feet from it going, I should run. I should get out of here. But what do? You stand there and all of a sudden you're in a bucket.
You become the news story. Yeah.
Yeah, you're front line and you're a drone at that point.
So
but you're responsible, motherfuckers.
And I think ultimately that's kind of what we both can agree on is like, is it right that you get fired? I don't think so.
No.
But if you get fired, do you have the means to fight it in court with lawyers? Probably not. Realistically, probably not, unless you got a lawyer who does a pro bono and he's like your fucking best friend. There's exceptions to every rule, but generally speaking, you don't have the means to fight it in court, and you should have known better, realistically. At this point, 20 years into social media, probably should have known better.